Hey everyone, happy Friday. So today's a little bit different because it's actually 5:30 p.m. at the moment. I have done today. But I couldn't really show any of it because I was working on the tail teller animation that is coming out in a month, and showing anything is probably giving too much away. And man, we're like right near the finish line. Like, I'm able to watch the whole thing start to finish. There's only one background that has yet to be finished, and there's like most of the animation is done. I've just got to go through from the start to the end and tighten everything up, add little bits here and there. But I'm feeling really like emotional in a sense, really like ecstatic and over the moon seeing it all come together. It is without a doubt the most beautiful project I've ever worked on, and in large part that is thanks to Greg, who has done some absolutely astounding work on the environments. I just am speechless at the moment. So I just thought I'd share my excitement in that regard. I can't wait to share this with you guys. Like 1 month, and I'm gonna share it with you. It's a 10-minute animated short, and I'll be working on the music starting next week, over the next couple of weeks, and then fine-tuning the animation. But man, I'm really excited. So what I actually thought I'd do today is, you guys have been asking some really cool questions, and I usually take one every day, but because I couldn't show much of what I was doing today anyway, and because quite a lot of these questions I couldn't pick just one, like a lot of these are really cool questions, so I thought I'd just go through and just pick a whole bunch and answer a bunch of your questions. And I don't know if I'll make this like a weekly thing or a Friday thing, because I don't know if I can commit to that. You know how crazy my schedule is. It'll be thrown out the window too many times to set on something stable. But I reckon let's give it a go, and maybe we could do this once in a while. But keep your questions coming in every video. I love seeing what your thoughts are too on the vlog, and I really appreciate your input and your interest. Cartoon Connect asks, what part of the animating do you like doing the least? Honestly, the environments, the backgrounds, and that's the reason I love working with Greg, is because he doesn't like doing character animation, but loves doing backgrounds. So we are like a match made in heaven, because we both get to do only the thing we love, and then the other person gets to do the thing we don't love that they love. It's awesome. Swift Drift asks, do you ever get tired of animating since it's quite repetitive? Honestly, I don't combat that really in a weird way. And it's interesting because I've been working on the tail teller for almost a year now, and you would think that working on a project so substantial for so long, you'd get sort of bored of it. But what I actually do is I break down any project into little chunks. And I don't actually think of it very often as the big project itself. I just think of it as the chunk. So I work on one chunk over a day, maybe 2 or 3 days at the most, to complete a chunk, and it feels gratifying because I'm working from start to finish on one segment, and I get that process of beginning, planning, creating, and then enjoying and reaping the rewards of seeing the final result and relishing in that a little bit before I move on to the next chunk. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited right now, because I just watched the tail teller from start to finish. First time in a long time. Like, I don't really do that very often because I'm working on the chunks so fervently every time I work on them. And to see it all come together is just like surprising to me, even though Greg and I have worked on it for so long. Mono Arctic says, before you became a professional artist, who inspired you? And does this person or do these people still inspire you today, or did they change over the years? My biggest inspiration when I was about 12 or 13 was Christopher Hart, who is a how to draw author. And he is still an inspiration to me today because of the body of his work and the amount that he offers to developing and budding artists. But it's interesting because he is in a different sort of category in my head now, because when I began, he was on this huge pedestal that I soaked in all of his art, and I really wanted to draw, and he really helped me. Whereas now it's interesting because doing what I do and now working on my current how to draw book, and actually having worked with Christopher Hart and interviewed him and talked with him back and forth, and he's been a sponsor of my challenge of the month and all of that, now I see him sort of as a peer, which is interesting because I never imagined I would be friends with Christopher Hart. He was like my idol. But he would probably be, he would definitely be the biggest inspiration in regards to my development as an artist. Ghost Awesome says, how much longer till you make another Let's Draw video? I have on Monday a character design video coming out, very similar format to the Let's Draw. It's interesting. I try my hardest to balance content and sort of go between the different formats. So I did a really big animation tutorial just last Thursday, but it's been a while since I've done one of those. So I always try and have some sort of cycle. There's the challenge of the month, there's the speed paintings, which I don't get to do as often, but community stuff and things like that. So I really try and revolve and move around the content while trying to bring new things to the table, and also create new and interesting assets and resources and products like the app. They come along once in a while too. So in answer to your question, hopefully 1 or 2 a month is usually pretty standard in regards to a Let's Draw video, or at least Let's Draw or character design. DMax says, did you create the character design process that you always use? Because it's very helpful to me. If not, where did you learn it from? It's a great question. The design process is a pretty established and well-known approach to creating things, and it's used in so many industries. But the interesting thing is there is no one process. There's no set number of steps or set definition of those steps, but there is a general guide or approach to using a design process, and that is begin by experimenting, using resources, playing, twisting, and then slowly refining. And it's sort of like evolution through selection. It's like things evolve until you create your final outcome. So I have created 4 steps from, like, everyone has different versions of it, but for my how to draw book and from my channel and all these things, I really like to keep consistent. So I've divided it into 4 clear steps. The first is discovery, which is the research and all of that. The second is the design, which is where you're playing with the design itself, sketching, playing around. Third is development, which is where you take your favorite designs and further develop and refine them. And then the fourth is deliver, which is where you create your final product. And that's how I like to clarify and repeat it, because that's the easiest way for people to learn, is to have something simple to attach to their brain. The 4 Ds. Alpha12W says, how has your animation career changed the way you look at other animations, movies, cartoons, etc.? It definitely has changed how I look at things. For example, when my son watches In the Night Garden, I can't help but every shot in my head break apart how it's been composited and put together. Like, what's green screen and what's not, and how they integrated different shots. It's quite fun to me, because in sort of reverse engineering it, I can learn how things can be put together. So I think when you work in a medium, and my medium often being animation, when you look at things that are in that medium, or whether it be animation or video, your brain is learning to deconstruct, so you can teach yourself how to construct things. So I do think that, yes, my perspective is different from others who aren't animators when I watch animation, because though I'm enjoying it, there is a sort of removal from it in an aspect sometimes, because I'm picking it apart. So yeah, sometimes like it would be nice to not have that, I guess, but I really enjoy it, so I don't think I'm missing out on anything. Hextechie says, are you going to play more Arty games with us? Absolutely. The Arty Games app was created because it was a format that I used without the app, and now the app facilitates that. So I foresee the Arty Games app coming into play in several videos every month at least, because I do so much random generation stuff with my Twitch audience. I do so much challenge stuff and like color challenges and all of that community-based stuff. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot more Arty Games, and I don't want to make it too plug heavy. I don't want every video to be like, go buy the app, but I'm gonna use it because it's really useful and fun. LJ says, I love designing characters and stories, but when it comes to writing, drawing, and animating them, I tend to lose motivation for finishing the project. What would you recommend to keep up motivation for larger projects, and have you ever struggled yourself? I've never really struggled with it myself, because I think I have always naturally broken it down into chunks, and that's got to be my advice, and it's what I talked about before. Is the reason I don't find it tedious. simply because I'm not looking at the whole, I'm looking at the pieces. And if something's huge, break it down into lots of little pieces and don't put pressure on yourself. You know, just like take it easy and focus on doing maybe 3 pieces a week, or, you know, like don't worry too much about the whole, because that's going to totally demotivate you unless you're making huge progress on the whole thing very fast. But if you're completing 1 piece a day, then that can be really satisfying. Corbin Reason says, what's your stance on Patreon? Do you think it's a good idea, or do you feel it's like taking charity, and do you have one? That is a really good question, and it's something I'm really interested in, and I actually want to do a whole video on Patreon on my main channel, but not because I have one. I don't have one, and I'm not gonna have one. I'm not against them, but I think it's a can of worms, and I think it can really, much like Kickstarter or GoFundMe or things like that, I think it can tie people down in ways they don't expect. I think it makes people accountable in ways they may not anticipate. And beyond that, I don't think it's the best financial way to support yourself as an artist. I think there are much better ways. For example, my shop is a huge support to my family and myself and my business, because YouTube ads actually aren't that great. But my shop enables me to create things that I feel really offer value and put them out there and say, if you want to support me, here is something for your money. And I do think that one of the major flaws of Patreon is quite simply people are feeling like they're paying for something they get for free. Or it's sort of a threat. If you don't pay for something I'm currently making for free, I won't be able to make it anymore. And I don't think encouraging people to make decisions or support someone based on fear or anything like that is a good thing. And I think that, I don't think that it's a bad thing, and I think some people do Patreon really well, but I actually think the majority of Patreons aren't great. And I don't think Patreon itself feels like a great application to many people. Well, that'll do it for today. I've taken quite a few questions, so I hope you've enjoyed it. It hasn't been much of a activity-based vlog today, but yeah, there's not much I could show you because things are really coming together and it's all a bit hush-hush now. I do actually want to put a trailer out for the Tale Teller maybe a week or 2 before I release it, so you'll get a little sneak peek maybe in 2 or 3 weeks. But until then, you know, and until later, it's all under wraps. Man, I am so excited though. And if you haven't seen it, this is the banner for the launch event. And walking into my office every day and seeing that is just so exciting to me. Like, it's really feeling complete. And yeah, today feels very different to 2 days ago because I was stuck looking at the scenes that weren't finished, and I felt so stressed because the deadline and blah, blah, blah. But now that I've finished those scenes and I've watched the whole thing start to finish, I'm like, wow, we've done a lot. I mean, I have a bit left to do, but not that much comparative to what we've done. So anyways, not comparative to, compared to, oh my goodness. Anyways, I've got to go. It's time to go have a nice meal out with the family. I'm in a good mood today. I am still working tomorrow, which is Saturday. Hopefully not for much of tomorrow. So yeah, and I do have to go to Melbourne for a family thing and come back. So it'll be just like for a chunk of tomorrow, but you know, we'll do what we can. All right, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Yay! We've had a lovely dinner out, and we're just relaxing before bath and bed. And sometimes before bath and bed, we like to play piano together. And baby Jazza loves Journey. It's his favorite band to listen to on the piano. in time, always another shore. Wondering where I'm lost without you. And being apart is here, this never fail. Two strangers let me fall in love again. I feel the joy of rediscovering you. Oh, stand by me. Who's that? It's you. I'm forever yours, faithfully. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Who's that? It's you. It's you, Baba. Can you say hi? Who's that? Oh, I can see you. Who's that? Very good.